Hello, and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for February of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening for you in February. Let's begin this horoscope with the asteroid goddesses Juno and Ceres, but especially with Ceres because she's up to some pretty big stuff this month. Ceres is traveling along through your 12th house, and I probably mentioned in last month's horoscope that she was going to begin to move in here and go retrograde pretty soon, which she's going to do on February 3rd. Now, Ceres is a goddess of good stewardship. She's about very practical matters, how we eat, how we digest, how we feel in our bodies, getting comfortable in our own skin, and our safety and security, and most particularly financial safety and security. She's about wealth building. Now, Ceres in the 12th house is a bit of a puzzle because the 12th house is a place of dissolving. It's a place of unraveling. It's a place that's very spiritual, but not very practical, as Ceres herself prefers to be. So when Ceres is passing through the 12th house, this can be a time in which you notice that your finances maybe be are a little unraveled around the edges, and that some changes are going to need to be made. You might find that that you've lost interest in paying attention to, that really great budgeting software that you got a while back, and that you need to go back to it, and you find that things have deteriorated in the meantime. So it's kind of a good thing that Ceres is going retrograde, because this is a really good opportunity for cleanup, for figuring out what has unraveled and how it needs to be fixed and woven back in and reintegrated. We're calling this a financial rebalancing period, mostly because Ceres is in Libra, which always has its eye on fine design principles. Libra really cares about harmony, symmetry, and balance, and attaining this state in your finances is really what this Ceres wants you to do. And it's going to be retrograde all the way until early May. So there's plenty of time to figure out all these things, to, get your budget cleaned up, and begin tracking your money in a better way. How does it come in? How do you spend it, save it, budget it, and how does it go out? And are all your bills being paid on time? Are you meeting your savings goals? All those kinds of things can really be cleaned up while Ceres is retrograde. It might be a little bit difficult for you to do it in particular, Scorpio, because Ceres is traveling through your 12th house. And that being a place of dissolving, it might actually be particularly hard to pay attention and concentrate on your finances and reinvigorating them during this transit. But it's absolutely something worth doing. And one thing you might ask yourself is, do I have a regular way of contributing to a charity that means something to me? Because spending your money on things that you really value, that are metaphysical in nature, not just physical in nature, is what will reinvigorate you during this Ceres retrograde period. So let's go to the other goddess of the moment, and that would be Juno. She's traveling along through your 6th house. She's in the sign of Aries. Juno is a goddess of partnerships, particularly committed partnerships of all kinds. Venus is also a goddess of relationship. You've probably heard of her a lot. She focuses more on the feeling of connection, the love and that sort of thing. But Juno is really about the commitment. And so you can experience Juno in a spousal relationship. You can experience Juno in what feels like a really close friendship of duration, where you feel like besties. And you can experience Juno in a business partnership, and she's also a really great matchmaker and manager of people. So keeping all these factors about Juno in mind, Let's think for a moment about what it means when she's in the sixth house. The sixth house is a house of organization. It's a house of the workplace. It's a house of health as well. And this is the house in which you set up the systems that make your business run, and you regulate the habits that help your health go smoothly. And when Juno is here, you want to do those things with your partner. So if you're going to utilize this Juno transit in your home life, it's a good time to take your partner to the container store and figure out how to reorganize various areas of the space that you share. If you want to experience and utilize this Juno in your work life, then approach your work with a very much partner orientation, and look to the partners that you have and the people that you work with, any teams that you manage in your workplace, and figure out how they can all be plugged in a better way to the projects that you're doing together. Hey, Julia, what's up with Venus, Mercury, and Mars for the Scorpios of the world this month?
Well, Scorpio, Venus, your relationship, well, everybody's relationship planet, starts the month in your fifth house, which is a house of dating. It also rules your children, creativity, and fun as well. So Venus really likes to be in this house. It's a really good time if you're single to get out there and meet someone new. If you have kids, it's a wonderful time for just finding more harmony and peace with them, because Venus is the peacemaker of the zodiac. And since the fifth house is very creative and Venus is creative too, she's the planet of art and beauty, if you do have a creative side to you, this is a wonderful time to design something new, craft, paint, just get very, very creative in your life. Then by February 19th or 20th, depending on where you are in the world and what time zone you're in, Venus enters your sixth house. So the sixth house is more about getting down to business. It rules your workplace. It's the house of health. It's the house of habits and routines. So with Venus in your sixth, this could be a time where you actually get a little bit more pleasure from the routines in your life, this would be a wonderful time to establish some beauty routines. But if you are trying to diet, which is, of course, an eating routine, Venus in the sixth does like to indulge a little bit. So that could be a little difficult. However, some good things about this transit is it can be a nice time for your health, and it can also be a great time for getting along well with the people you work with. So that could be your boss, those could be customers or clients. Now, Mercury, which represents your mind, starts the month in your third house, and this is a very natural fit for Mercury, because the third house represents communication as well as learning and travel, and those are all things that are associated with Mercury too. So with Mercury in the third, if you do have to get any writing done, this is a great time for that. You're also a much more apt pupil during this transit. You're more keen to learn new things and absorb them more easily, and you might find that you're taking more trips, maybe like short little trips around your state or going to a local park, for example. Then by February 11th, Mercury enters your fourth house. This house rules your home, your family, as well as your past. So with Mercury in the fourth, your mind could be very preoccupied by something that comes up from your past, that might be affecting your present somehow. You also might notice that you're connecting a lot more with your parents or with your family members, because Mercury is a very social planet. So that might mean more phone calls or just sort of more times of hanging out together. And with Mercury in your fourth, you might be thinking a lot about your housing situation. Maybe you're thinking about moving, maybe you're thinking about improving your home or selling your home. But your home is definitely on your mind for a lot of that transit. And then finally, I have a few more things to say about Mars, that planet that just finished a retrograde cycle last month, but it's still in the same house it's been in for a long time now, which is your eighth house. So Mars goes retrograde about once every 2 years. And that's why he's been in your 8th house for a number of months now. Retrograde times can be a bit frustrating with Mars. However, he is direct. So things are definitely moving along a little bit better. But for the last few months, you may have been dealing with some 8th house issues. The 8th house is a financial house. It represents investments. It represents, like taxes, mortgages, money that you share with other people. So that could also be loans, for example, or money you share with those close to you. The 8th house is also a house of research and investigation as well. And with Mars having been retrograde and in this house for a long time, you may have had some frustrations over money, maybe conflicts about money. You apply for a loan and it doesn't work out, for example. Also, this could be a time where you've been really obsessing over something that you've been investigating in your life, trying to research. But since Mars has been retrograde, you might have had to kind of go back over and redo some of your investigations, redoing some of your research. So Mars is finally direct now. So things are definitely moving along a lot better. So you might find that still you're very focused on your finances, maybe trying to build them up through investments, for example, getting ready for tax season, which is coming up. And then finally, Mars will leave this house once and for all next month, which will be, I think, a pretty nice break.
Mm-hmm. So we have a couple moons to talk about and a seasonal change. The first one is the full moon in Leo, which is landing in your 10th house of career, opposite to the sun in Aquarius in your 4th. Now, whenever the moon is full in your 10th house, you might notice that emotions are running high in your career, in your workplace. And so this moon could signify big emotions that you're having, or it could signify big emotions that your boss is having, or feelings between you may be running high. And so it's really important to contain yourself and just make sure that that gets handled in the best way possible, so as not to sort of break anything, which is a little bit more likely because of the square to Uranus. But I think that the sun in your 4th house is actually quite helpful because there may be somebody in your home who can help you see the situation with a little bit more objectivity. Now, we're calling this moon you in the mirror of community. And the reason for that is because the moon being in Leo, this is a very self-centered moon, which I don't mean necessarily in a bad way, but it is so very full of its own emotions that it might not be so aware of the emotions of others. It's really kind of overflowing with big feelings. And then the sun is in Aquarius, which is the sign of community and groups and friends. It brings a sense of objectivity and distance that can mirror those big emotions to the individual. This is the polarity of the individual versus the group. Now, Uranus's square to this moon does sort of make things bigger and more, let's say, it adds a jagged energy to it. But this moon actually has a lot of great help in it. There are trines and sextiles to Mars, also Juno and Chiron, that are bringing in help from assertion and social adeptness, possibly on the part of other people that you work with. And so this moon, I think, can turn out really, really well and even affect a sort of a healing in the end. You can find out more about this moon on our website, pandoraastrology.com, in the forecast tab. And the other moon that I'm about to speak of shortly, you'll find that one there as well. So the next thing that happens is that the sun changes signs. And by the 19th, the sun has moved into Pisces out of Aquarius. So it's shifting over to your 5th house, which is the zone of creativity, self-expression, fun, pleasure, and play. I like to think of this as the house of creation, recreation, and procreation because it governs children as well. Children are like, a creative product, if you will. So as the sun leaves the fourth house, you'll find that a general preoccupation is ending for your home life, and a new preoccupation is coming in for getting involved with creativity, fun, entertainment, and hobbies. So as long as the sun is traveling through the fifth house, it's a really great time to engage in those hobbies, and also to do maybe a little bit of blatant self-promotion. I like to think of this as the house of your personal brand. So this is a really good time for a headshot, or changing your avatar on social media, or beefing up your social media profile. Those sorts of things are really great to do while the sun is passing through your fifth house, and you're getting a better sense of who you are and how you want to put yourself out there. So really shortly after the sun moves into this house, the moon joins it. And that peaks actually on the 19th, although we're seeing it here on the 20th. And so the sun and the moon getting together in your fifth house is going to really be a great place to express all of the imagination that this moon is putting out there. It's a new moon. New moons are like a rebirth, a new and fresh beginning. This one landing in Pisces brings a very much imaginative vibe, and a spiritual vibe as well. And so this could be a really great time for engaging in any hobby that has to do with fantasy, like, role play gaming, for example, reading fantasy books or watching fantasy movies. Anything that really awakens your imagination and gives you something creative that you can do about it would be a really great kind of project to birth during this new moon. Now, we're calling this one Birth Dreams Grounded in Logic. And the reason is that Saturn, that's sitting right there, very, very close to this new moon. It's in late Aquarius, and Saturn actually loves to be in Aquarius. Saturn's very grounded and practical and disciplined, and wants you to put things in order. And Aquarius likes things to be done in an intellectually rigorous and logical kind of a way. So this is a really great moon for dreaming up something very new, birthing something in your imagination, and doing it in a way that's really fun for you, that can really open up and unlock your creativity and help you to discover yourself further. But then the influence of Saturn is saying, don't just dream about it, do something about it that's grounded in the real. You can find out more about this moon too on our website, pandoraastrology.com, and check out that forecast page. That's where you'll find more about the news of the month.
If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
Horoscopes are fun, but they're also really general. If you want to explore this month's themes more personally, we'd love to meet with you in a real live reading where you can gain powerful insights and learn what you need to make the big decisions in your career, family, or relationship. You'll find the link in the description below. Have a fantastic February, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.